The Gulls' inability to stop the puck on the penalty kill is coming back to bite them, and they're quickly falling out of the playoff race. We'll talk about all of that on this edition of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jason JD Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for over a decade. I've been covering minor league hockey for almost a decade now. Well, more than a decade, but AHL hockey for almost a decade now, if you could believe that. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. And first off, a special shout out to all of those making this your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On Podcasts a part of your day every day. All right, let's talk about these last few games for the San Diego Gulls. This is Gulls Thursday, and we are live from Acrisure Arena, home of the AHL's Coachella Valley Firebirds. I'm the PA announcer for the Firebirds. Have also done public address for the Anaheim Ducks as well here at Acrisure. So, yeah, I've been around minor league hockey for a while, and watching the San Diego Gulls, I missed the days back in 2017, 2018, when the fans would just get into it all the time. I kind of miss those days, but hey, this is where we are, right? All right, let's talk about the last few games. It's been painful. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. And the biggest thing that's been painful for the San Diego Gulls in the recent couple of weeks has been the penalty kill. It has gone from being stellar to the complete opposite. If you everydayers recall, a couple of weeks ago, I actually talked about that from this building, from this very spot. I mentioned that the San Diego Gulls had keyword had a streak of 39 consecutive penalties killed. Past tense had. For about 3 weeks, the Gulls did everything possible to not allow a power play goal. They were doing everything perfectly. They were using the active stick. They were preventing passes, cross ice passes. They were preventing passes to get into the zone. They were clearing the puck with great regularity. All of those things that I just mentioned, all of those have gone through the wayside. There's not nearly as much active stick as there was 2-3 weeks ago. Clearing pucks, are you kidding me? They have not done that very well. Especially the last 3 games, there has been a noticeable failure in clearing pucks, and a couple of times that's exactly what led to a power play goal on the other side. I don't know what exactly happens with the penalty kill over then. I mean, as far as the active stick, look, you got to keep your stick on the ground and you got to keep moving your stick left and right. You got to prevent those passes. Have an active stick. They are not doing that. Clearing the puck. Oh, Chase, buddy. I love Chase DeLeo, but he needs to clear the puck when he has it on his stick, and do not just pass it right into the stomach of your opponent. There are several moments where you have a clear lane. Yes, it might get into the neutral zone and it might just go a few feet, but at least it is clearing the blue line. So at least do that. That way the opponents have to tag up and reset all over again. At least do that. And they couldn't even do that numerous times, especially lately. So it's been really, I guess the word here is maybe not alarming, but it's concerning that the penalty kill has gone from spectacular to, unfortunately, just downright awful. I'm going to share with you the PK from the last 6 games, specifically the last 5 games. The Gulls right now are on a 6-game losing streak. In those 6 games, here's how the penalty kill has gone, or the opponent's power plays. 0 for 2 1 for 4, 3 for 5, 1 for 4, 0 for 2, and 3 for 4. That includes a game Wednesday night in Texas. In their last 5 games, the PK has gone 11 for 21. In the last 6 games, 13 for 21, 61.9%. But the last 5 games, the PK has been, I take that back. 13 for 19. That ain't good, folks. Sorry, my mistake on that. It's not 13 for 19, but it's bad either way. The penalty kill has been below 70%, just below 60% in the last 5 games. And all those things that I mentioned, that's on the assistant coaches right there. That is also on the players. They need to have the presence of mind to just have awareness. Have awareness. Like flip the puck up out of the zone. That you can do. Don't give your goalie such a hard time. And whatever you do, just prevent lanes from occurring in the home plate area. And there's also a couple little things. Actually, I'll get into a couple of little things right now since we're talking about the penalty kill. They are getting out of their usual kind of quasi box, kind of quasi 1-2-1 defense. And there have been times where they have just gone 2 towards the red line and 2 a little bit towards the blue line. And those 2 defensemen on the same line are kind of hanging back a little bit. And it is allowing a wide open gap between the dots. I would say along the top of the faceoff circle, oftentimes there's a ginormous gap where opponents can easily make a cross ice pass, and they've got to clog up those lanes a little bit better. The box defense that they've had on the PK, their penalty killers are spread way too far. They're either too far between the red line and the blue line, or they're way too far along the half boards, and they're allowing players to get into the slot area. You cannot do that. You have to play your box, or you have to play your 4 defensemen a little bit tighter and clog those lanes in the middle. They also need to clog the lanes between the faceoff dots, going laterally. I noticed there was a lot of cross ice passes, especially in the series against the Texas Stars, where they allowed way too many cross ice passes, even against the Ontario Reign. The Reign kind of had their way on their power play. I'm surprised it was only 1 for 4 and not worse. San Diego could have easily given up maybe, 10 goals. It could have been 10 for 21 on the PK. It could have been way worse. So just a couple of little things that they need to fix. They got to fix their spacing, 1. They've got to have awareness to get the puck out of the zone. They've got to have an active stick. If they can just improve those 3 things by itself, then you would see the PK numbers improve again. And they were doing that during that 39 PK streak. The active stick, I think, was the biggest one. You constantly saw pucks get just trickled away, like you saw a stick in the way of a pass, and it would either go out of play and there'll be another face-off, or it would be deflected and get close to the neutral zone. It would get out of the zone. So I think the active stick is a big one, but spacing, improve on that. All right, we're going to head into the first intermission right now and talk about the last 3 games that took place. And folks, they were not pretty. The last 3 games were not pretty. The Gulls did have their chances, but all resulting in losses. I'll talk about those 3 games on the other side. Now a brief word from Gametime. And if you haven't used the Gametime app yet, what are you waiting for? Because Gametime gives you the best tickets at the last minute at low prices. And with great last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You have flash deals, you have zone deals. There's a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection, among other things. And you know what? You can get those all-in prices to show your total upfront, and all it takes is 2 taps. Just 1 tap, 2 tap, bam, there you go. And the tickets go right into your inbox at almost no time whatsoever. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's talk about the last few games that the San Diego Gulls played, which have plummeted them almost out of the playoffs. And we're going to start with the game against the Ontario Reign last Saturday. And also that was Cancer Night or Cancer Awareness Night. So it was a special night altogether. We had the players wearing their ribbons on the jersey. It looked really cool, folks. I liked the jerseys. That Saturday game, they went 11-7. They had Carrick and White, Tyson Hines, Drew Hellison, Haig and Zellweger on the third pairing. Okay. And then you had Wolf as that extra seventh defenseman. So 11-7 hasn't worked out the best for the San Diego Gulls, but that's what they went with. Yeah, it didn't go well. First off, Callie Klang, he started in net. Early in the game, he just got wrecked. He got barreled after Akil Thomas drew a penalty. Now, Klang did hold his leg a little bit. He was very slow to get up. I was actually kind of surprised that he stayed in, but you know what? Super gutsy save on that penalty shot. Crowd went absolutely just nuts after that. Great play altogether. And Callie Klang stayed in because in the back you had Alex Stalock, no Tomasz Suchanek on that game. I would say it was a fairly even game for the most part. I mean, yeah, there was a bad tripping penalty on Nikita Nesterenko, and Sammy Fagemo, who has been really hot lately, by the way, he scored on the power play to make it 1-0 Ontario Reign. And then after that, it was a parade of penalties both ways. First off, I got to say, I'm surprised it wasn't 1-1 or 2-1 because the San Diego Gulls had some amazing opportunities, some wide open shots. Portillo was just completely left. He was left for dead. And there was a wide open net. And San Diego's going to be just having nightmares about open nets that they could not convert in. I mentioned this on a tweet, and I even mentioned this time and time again, and this was evident against the Reign. This was evident against the Stars. They just could not finish. Their inability to finish has been a huge detriment to their team, let alone the penalty kill being bad, but the fact that they cannot finish, the fact that they have pucks right in front of them and just cannot do anything to put the puck into the net, that is concerning, especially for a young team like that. And that is a difference between teams like the San Jose Barracuda, the San Diego Gulls. They do not have those finishers right now, whereas teams like the Colorado Eagles, and especially the Firebirds, despite the fact that it was 4-1 here Wednesday night, it could have easily been 6-1. But at least the Firebirds and the Eagles have finishers. And to an extent, the Ontario Reign have a couple of very good finishers. I mentioned Sammy Fagemo being one of the best finishers in the American Hockey League right now, and San Diego just not converting on plays. That really hurt them. Now, Ontario did go up 3-0 in that game, thanks to Charles Hudon, and then it was the Olen Zellweger show, and he was just amazing in this game. What I loved was just the presence of mind. He kept the puck in the offensive zone. And this was with about a minute into the third period to make it 3-1. Now, Nesterenko had a pass go to Agazino. Agazino misplayed it, but Zellweger just, kind of not dove, but he kind of reached over. That way the puck would not cross the blue line. Super great awareness, great stick work. Those are the kind of plays where I say that Zells belongs in the NHL. There are certain players that I say, oh, they belong in the NHL. He's definitely one of them. He belongs in the NHL. when the Ducks make a move, especially if they trade one of their defensemen like Lyubushkin, Zells should be that first phone call back up to the NHL. He is too good for the AHL. And he had a nice little give and go. He was rewarded for that great presence of mind to make it 3-1. I just love heaping praises on Olen Zellweger so much. He deserves it. So 3-1, nice give and go with Andrew Agozzino. And then Chase DeLeo, only 2 minutes later on the power play, made it 3-2. And it looked really easy too. I mean, just great passing from behind the net. And Chase DeLeo, I mean, he did make it look easy. Ontario did absolutely nothing on that penalty kill. Like, they just stood still, and they allowed DeLeo to just walk into the zone. I don't know what Ontario was doing on their penalty kill. That looked really bad. So 3-2. And by the way, with the assist earlier, with the power play goal, Chase DeLeo is second all-time leading goal scorer in the team's AHL history. So first on that list is Sam Carrick with 86 goals. Chase DeLeo now has 65 goals, second most in San Diego AHL history. So congrats to the La Mirada native, y'all. But then after that, I mean, the goals had their chances. They generated some very high danger chances. And there was a couple of very close calls, and the closest one, there was a possible goal from Drew Hellison. It was about a 6-minute review that could have gone either way, but the refs didn't have enough to make it the equalizer, and that was just a tough loss to Ontario, 3-2. Very, very, very tough loss. By the way, in that loss, I got to give my props to Callan McClurg. Callan called his 300th AHL game. So to the fellow PA announcer, just got to say, if you're watching Callan, congrats. I already told him personally, but congrats on 300 AHL games called. I mean, I've called about 80 games here. He's at 300, folks. So I hope to get to 100 with a long playoff run this year, but I think next year I'll get to 100. So once again, Callan, 300 games. Salute to you, buddy. And we're kind of running long here, so I'm going to head to the second intermission right now, talk about the road trip at Texas. We will get to that on the other side. Now, a brief word from Sleeper. And folks, Sleeper is just like a super cool daily fantasy app, and we're well past the halfway point of the season. We're approaching the stretch run. And I got to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper's our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. You could pick studs like Kucherov or McKinnon or Ovechkin, who's been hot, or Connor McDavid, whether they'll record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, plus, minus, etc. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Gulls fans. You can win 100 times your money by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Welcome back to Locked On Gulls, which is under the umbrella of Locked On Anaheim Ducks and part of the Locked On Podcast Network, here live from Acrisure Arena, the home of the Coachella Valley Firebirds. But also, we got to give some love to the San Diego Gulls. So on video, you can see we actually have our Gulls flag right there. Hey, there it is. There's the Gulls flag. There's the Barracuda. There's the Stars. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about the Gulls and the Stars series that just took place Tuesday night and Wednesday night. These were painful games. The game from Tuesday I actually watched last night. The Wednesday game I actually took notes after I finished my game here. I watched, most of that game and took some notes, and it was just bad all around. First, let's get to Tuesday's game. It was announced Tuesday afternoon that Judd Caulfield was week to week with a lower body injury, so he's out. So that meant that Jacob Perreault would go up to the second line, and Sasha Pastyov and Ben King would share that third line with Nathan Gaucher. And Braden Tracy went down to the fourth line, probably for good reason, to be honest, along with Lapina and Howe. This first period, San Diego started off the game really well. They generated some pretty good chances. They had a couple of point-blank opportunities that just did not go their way. They had missed chances. And all of a sudden, Antonio Strange just was given too much room and went right into the slot and just had a little backhanded wrister through Tomasz Suchanek, making it 1-0 Stars. Now, the Gulls, for what it's worth, they had their chances to respond, and they kept it close. I mean, they had some good chances. It was 9-7 shots in favor of the Stars, but give credit to the Gulls. They had a couple of really good shots in that slot area, especially one really close in that just did not go their way. Kind of a shame. That one was kind of a shame. But, it is what it is. So it remains 1-0. Yeah, Jacob Perreault, he was snake bitten in this game, folks. He really was. Second period, that's when things began to get a little bit crazy for both sides. This was where Nikita Nesterenko just had a filthy, filthy goal. But I also have to give a lot of credit to Pavel Regenda, who knocked the puck loose from the neutral zone. He knocked it loose, and Nikita Nesterenko used his long strides and battled right at the blue line and wound up on a breakaway, and that made it 1-1. That was a nice goal, too. That was probably one of my favorite goals of the season because Regenda just, had the presence of mind to have the active stick, and Nesterenko protected the puck very well to tie it up at 1. And then Keaton Mastrodonato scored later in the second, making it 2-1 Texas. Now, in the third, that's when things just started to go Texas's way. They started to dominate puck possession. They were playing very good defensive hockey. I know when I say some teams play defensive hockey, they tend to hold on to the puck, but Texas did it in a way where they protected the puck, but they also protected it in the neutral zone, whereas San Diego would allow the Stars to get into their zone. And Texas outshot them 12-4 in that third period. There were long stretches of no whistles, and that was definitely favoring the Texas Stars. I mean, San Diego just got outworked in that third period, and they pulled Suchanek, and it just did not work out, especially when Grushnikov got nailed for cross-checking. So it was 6-on-4 in favor of San Diego, and that was their best chance, was that minute and 18 rather, 6-on-4. And after a couple of very, very good attempts, Oscar Beck stole the puck, passed it to Maverick Bourque, empty netter, shorty. That was the game. 3-1 Stars. Then the game Wednesday night. Yeah, it was Alex Daylock versus Remy Poirier. This one was undisciplined, folks. Braden Tracy took a bad too-many-men penalty, and this was as Tyson Hines was forced to play the puck from behind his own net, and that resulted in a Stars power play. After that, Matej Blumel got a perfect cross-ice pass on the power play from Maverick Bourque. Way too much time and space. The penalty killers were spread way too far apart. 1-0 Stars. Then the very next play, Christian Kyrou stole the puck from Pavel Regenda in the goal zone, and he kind of passed the puck around, got the puck back, and netted it from the high slot. So that's where a player like Kyrou is rewarded for his good play. He stole the puck, passed it around, got the puck back, made it 2-0 Stars. Oh, and by the way, Christian Kyrou, in case you're wondering, yes, he is the younger brother to Jordan Kyrou, just in case you were wondering. Now, in the second period, after a Wheatcroft hooking penalty, Olen Zellweger had he played a little give and go with Chase DeLeo, And Olen finally decided to play up and found a super easy lane along the left dot and just shot a laser beam top shelf to make it 2-1 on the power play. Then after that, I'll say this, it was a weak slashing call against Robert Haig. Oscar Beck redirected a shot from the Maverick Bork point. And initially, Matej Blumel shot a quick one that generated a really long, juicy rebound right to Bork, right outside the faceoff circle. And Bork shot it in, but Beck redirected it. So I think that made it 3-1 at the time. After that, or sorry, not 3-1, it was 4-1. Or it was 3-1 after that. I was right. Because third period, Christian Kyrou scored again on the power play. The third power play goal. That's when I wanted to stop watching it. I mean, this is where Chase DeLeo just failed to clear the puck. He did not do a good job clearing the puck. And that led directly to a Christian Kyrou power play goal. Got to clear that puck, buddy. So that made it 4-1. That's when San Diego woke up and shot the lights out. Josh Lapina scored, and then Pavel Regenda had a perfect screen on Jeremy Poirier. Glenn Godden, 16th of the season, from Olen Zellweger and Ben King. Zells scored again, and that made it 4-3. And San Diego even had their chances towards the very end. They had a couple of good shots. They outshot the Texas Stars 19-9 in the third period. Most of those shots coming in the final 10 minutes, but it was not to be. Texas wins 4-3. And now the losing streak reaches 6. So let's be honest here. Looking ahead, I would say the playoffs are very unlikely for the Gulls at this point. Right now, San Diego is a whopping 14 points back. Their last 6 games, they've lost 6-2 to the Barracuda. They lost 2-1 to Henderson. They lost to Bakersfield 4-3 in overtime. Lost to Ontario 3-2, 3-1, and 4-3 to Texas. That is now 6 in a row. This time, exactly 2 weeks ago, I talked about the excellent penalty killing and that the Gulls were only, I think, 5 or 6 points out of a playoff spot, and it was possible. There was a path for them to get into the playoffs. And now it's looking super unlikely, coupled with the Ontario Reign kind of waking up. And I'll just talk about the Ontario Reign and Condors for a second. The Condors have a 4-game winning streak going on right now. Bakersfield was starting to play pretty desperate over their last few games as well. And Bakersfield even had what I thought was one of their best wins of the season Wednesday night, a 7-2 drubbing of the Tucson Roadrunners. Tucson just got outworked in this game. And, Jack Campbell looked really good in net. Dylan Wells did not, but Jack Campbell starting to come alive a little bit for Bakersfield. So he's starting to look pretty good. As far as Ontario, they had a super desperate win against these Firebirds Friday night at Toyota Arena, where I happen to be. Ontario was down 1-0 for almost the entirety of the game. If they had lost that game, then I think Reign fans would have said the sky is falling on this one, because that would have continued their losing streak, folks. They were close to saying the sky is falling. And then all of a sudden, they scored a late goal with a minute left. And then with a minute left in overtime, Ontario scored the game winner. This was Friday against these Firebirds. That started a 3-game winning streak for the Ontario Reign, where they beat the Firebirds. They beat San Diego, as I mentioned earlier. And they even had a really good win Tuesday night against the San Jose Barracuda, 8-2, where San Jose ate too much fish. Oh, that was terrible, folks. So all of a sudden, Ontario's got a winning streak. Bakersfield's got a winning streak. San Diego is now 14 points out of a playoff spot. Yeah, it's looking unlikely. Time is very quickly running out for San Diego. They've got to go on some kind of miracle run to have a shot at the playoffs. And looking ahead at this schedule, it's going to be very tough for San Diego. Their next 3 games, tomorrow night against the Ontario Reign in Ontario. That one's going to be tough. Then they've got a pair of home games. They've got a home game against the Condors Monday the 4th. This is a makeup game thanks to that water main break. And then Wednesday against the Coachella Valley Firebirds. That game on Monday begins a 6-game homestand. Bakersfield, Coachella Valley twice, Ontario, Milwaukee twice. And Milwaukee has been hot lately. San Diego needs to win more than half of these games. Otherwise, I would honestly say they're probably out of it. But it has got to start now, and it has got to start very fast, especially Friday night at Toyota Arena. So that is what's coming up for the San Diego Gulls. All right, that's going to do it for this podcast. And once again, thanks to all of you everydayers that stick with it. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about the last Ducks game. And we'll also have a bonus episode over the weekend, just to let you all know. And just want to mention this one more time. Another team that I do public address for, among other things, the Ontario Junior Reign. They are playing their playoffs this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if necessary. And I've mentioned this, former Ducks player Andrew O'Brien is one of the assistants. So we would love to see you come out to Ontario Center Ice Arena. Once again, that is Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night against the Las Vegas Thunderbirds. So you never know what players you might see come out of the USPHL. You just never know. All right. Once again, thank you all for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and also ad-free on Amazon. And we're also on YouTube, so hit that subscribe button. You could follow me on X at StimpyJD, and the show's X is at LO_Ducks, or you could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And by the way, quick shout out to Mikey DeLorean, who's the in-arena host for the Los Angeles Kings and the Ontario Reign. So just got to give Mikey a shout out, who's been listening in. And once again, thank you all for your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. For Locked On Goals, I'm Jason J.D. Hernandez saying have a great rest of the day. Please remember to be safe out there, be kind to one another, and Ducks and Gulls fly together. There we go, folks.